What's going on? My name's Adam, and recently I switched from high volume training to high intensity training, and here is my honest opinion about the two. Little background about me. I got into lifting because my head was a little bit too big for my body. I'll insert a picture right here. As you can see, my body was a little feeble, my head was a little big, and I couldn't shrink my head, so I had to grow my body. I've been training for about probably 6 years now consistently. I started my lifting career with high volume training strictly, and recently I made a shift to high intensity training because of a plateau I hit. And now I'm going to give my opinion of the two. But first, let's dive into some background because there's a lot of history that goes into this. High volume training really got its popularity because Arnold Schwarzenegger followed that type of training style. Tons of sets, tons of reps in the gym for 3 hours at a time. And because he was the best, people followed the best. Everybody in the bodybuilding industry basically followed this training style except for one handsome mustache wearing, glasses wearing man. That's Mike Mentzer. And Mike Mentzer really adopted the high intensity training style of training, which was originally developed by Arthur Jones. And what this was basically as polar opposite as you could think of from what Arnold does with high volume. And high volume is, as I said, multiple sets, multiple reps, all day in the gym, 3 hours in the gym. Mike Mentzer believed that you only need one set to maximum intensity. And what that means is you do 1 to 2 warm-up sets, maybe feel out the weight, get a little bit of blood flow, get the warm up in that muscle group, and then you do one set. You do that set to complete failure. You want to aim for around 6 to 10 reps, and then within that rep range, you should fail. Do partials, do whatever you can, gut it out, but then you're done. That's it. Move on to the next exercise. On top of that, unlike Arnold, who's doing 2-a-days, which is in the gym hitting each body part twice a week, Mike Mentzer would take 2, maybe 3 days off in between every single training section to maximize recovery. And that's just such a differentiating factor between the two. I mean, even if we think about it now, 2-a-days is so popular, and just the idea of only hitting weights 3 days a week seems so counterintuitive up to what would actually give you muscle growth. I trained high volume my whole lifting career, and then I hit a plateau about 4 or 5 months ago. That was an extreme plateau. I really felt like I was making zero progress and I was going nowhere. So I started learning about Mike Mentzer mostly through Max Taylor Lifts, shout out, because he's totally going to see this. I decided to jump on board with it and give it a try. I mean, I knew he was a hard gainer, so am I. I just struggled to put on size. So I decided to switch to it. At first, I was super skeptical. I'm like, I'm in the gym less. This stinks. I feel weird about it. I don't feel right. I don't feel like myself. But I was pretty surprised with what happened. And I'm going to give it a little bit of background when it comes to my experience with high volume before we jump into high intensity. As I said, I trained high volume for a while. A little background. I've been injury prone my whole life. I've torn my right ACL twice. I have a slap labrum tear in my right shoulder. And from those points on, I was like, that's what I'm going to train high volume. I'm going to keep my weights light, make sure I don't get these injuries. But in reality, I was constantly getting hurt. Lower back pain, just knee pain, hip pain, anything you can think of. I was like an old man. And I was like, I guess this is just how I am. I stink. Because my slap labrum tear was so recent, I had completely knocked out all heavy lifting, and I just assumed in that period of my life, I was like, I'm basically going to train like the classic Men's Health celebrity training sessions, like with Tom Brady, just doing bands until failure. So I made the jump into high intensity training. And I know it sounds so dumb to be like, it's crazy. Like when I actually took rest days in between my workouts and I let my body fully recover, it was just like, oh my gosh, I feel better and I feel strong. But yeah, like it's obvious. It sounds so obvious when you say it out loud, but like when you're in the moment, you're like, nah, 6 days a week, let's grow the muscles, let's get big. Because if I do it more, I'm going to get bigger. From doing those training sessions of Monday, I would hit push, Wednesday, I would hit pull, and legs would be on Friday. And I would take the full weekend off, and I was resting Tuesday, Thursday. I was just hitting my steps. So I'd do like 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And my goodness, I thought I was done being strong. I really did. But in reality, I was just basically always not recovered. My muscles were so happy to be on break in between every single lifting session. It was like the simplest thing of all time. It's just not lifting every day. But I think that was the biggest takeaway I took, was like, that's amazing. If I just actually let myself recover and pause, I can actually be strong again, push heavy weight, and begin to tear down my muscle. But there was one thing about the high intensity training that I thought was insane. And I took it literally because I really wanted to dive into the as literal as possible when it came to what Mike Mentzer was preaching. And that was one set. So I would show up to the gym, I would get on the machine, I would do like one warm-up set. I was barely doing 1 to 2. I do 1 to 2 warm-up sets like mandatory now, but I was doing like one warm-up set, like, okay, feeling out the weight and just kind of get an idea of what I could do for 6 to 12 reps. And I'd go, okay, this weight seems about good. I would do one set, super hard set to failure. Like, I mean, it's like, you know, when you stretch in the morning and you get like the shakes like that with your legs when you get them all fully extended. That's basically what happens on the last couple reps. You're just spazzing and you feel like a weirdo. I think that was crazy to me because I didn't realize how hard and how intense I really could train. But at the same time, you finish the one set and you're like, yeah, that felt great. But there's no way that's enough. There's no way that's enough. Going into the side 2 goals, I wanted to put on size. That includes obviously being fully natural. That includes putting on a little bit of body fat on top of muscle mass and increased strength. And I can happily say I did both. I was walking around probably 182 on a good day, maybe full tummy day, full tummy 182. And now empty stomach, I'm 187. It's 5 pounds. I'm not saying it's 5 pounds of lean mass, bro, because it's not like that at all. It's definitely a little bit of fat. The abs are less visible, but that's cool. And I wanted to increase strength. And my strength increase has been fantastic. Whether that's I actually got stronger or I'm just recovered enough to actually hit the weights I'm capable of hitting, that could be it. But I think I would check both of those boxes properly. So now that it's been about 4 months of training, I would say with the more high emphasis on high intensity, I've come to a good hybrid spot, it feels like. I at first was like totally on the Mentzer train. I was like, this guy rules. But I really liked him. I liked the training style. I just liked him as a person. Like, instead of doing the classic Arnold, let's go out and party like they did, all those bodybuilders back then would just go get hammered and do whatever. Mentzer kind of just like locked away, and he became like very philosophical and smart, and just he sounds like the classic 1950s like ballpark announcers, where they sound so fake animated but articulate and smart. That's how he talks, and it was just captivating to me. But as much as I loved him, there were certain things I didn't entirely, or not really entirely like, but I felt like I was missing. So recently I've implemented a little bit more higher volume towards the end of my workouts. My main movements are still high intensity, which is one working set, that's it. I do 1 to 2 warm-ups, but with some of the accessories, you could say, some delts, some rear delts, some triceps, some biceps, mostly just like arm type areas, I am doing higher volume. I just feel like that is one area where I've always felt has helped with it. I still do high intensity to start, but to finish, mostly like a finisher type deal, I do high volume. I've been wanting to make this video. I don't know if it's going to help anybody. I don't even know if it's going to see a single soul, but what I'm trying to say is, if you're a hard gainer and you feel like you've hit a plateau, and let's say you've been doing lots of reps and just feeling the burn in your workouts, I would challenge you to switch it up. Try that scheme of 1 to 2 warm-up sets and then one set to crazy failure. If you can work out with somebody else, it's even better, because then you can get like assisted reps. Like if you're doing a lat pull down, the dude can put his hands on the bar and pull it down for you a little bit. Like, you can just maximize that completely. But I don't know. If you enjoyed the video, I guess subscribe. I'm going to do the YouTube thing. Sub, like it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe leave a comment and tell me what I should do next, because I don't really know.